Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. What we're going to talk about today is when you should quit your job. So, what we do inside the Personal Trainers Business Incubators, we work with trainers to help them start and grow their online coaching business. And a lot of the trainers who come in and start making money ask, when should I quit my job, or when do you know it's time to quit your job? And I do have a formula for this. I do have some metrics for you, but I do kind of want to just explain my thought process behind when it's time to quit your job. Um, it really depends on how risk adverse you are and also how conservative you are. And so when it comes to me and my decisions, I'm very risk heavy. So I take a lot of risk. But when it comes for me advising people, I'm very conservative, right? It's because I don't expect other people to take on as much risk as I would put on myself. I would expect them to be a little bit more conservative just because I want other people to be safe and not get totally screwed, which does happen. Business is business, but usually people who can take on more risk are more successful because they force themselves to move and level up a lot quicker. But I will share my own personal story of when I knew it was time for me to quit my job, and then also what I recommend for other people who are a little bit more conservative with that decision. So when I started my coaching business, it was about 3-4 years ago. I was working as a busser. I was working nights, and every single night I would run off to the bathroom and get on my phone for 5 minutes to be sending out DMs or responding to people or posting pictures or commenting back. And then I would go out to work and I would be bussing tables again. And all I would think about is just the phone ringing in my pocket. And I thought, man, if I wasn't here at work right now, I can be getting so much more done in my business. I'm putting my business on hold so I can go into work. But if I didn't have to work, I would be able to put that time into my business. I'd be able to grow a lot faster. And so that's when I knew, I needed to quit my job. But it wasn't until I actually signed my first client that I actually did. So I would run to the bathroom, respond to messages, check up profiles and stuff, and I would just I'm like, damn, this is a waste of my time being here. I should be building my business. But when I made my first sale, I signed a client for $50 a month. I signed him for 3 months. It was $150 that was paid to me. At that moment, I knew I'm quitting my job. I made $150. Is it my rent? It's not, it's barely even enough for like food and gas, but I knew that I can do it. I knew that I can make money, and that was all the permission I needed. So as soon as I made $150, I quit my job, went all in on my coaching business. And let me tell you, it was very stressful. It was extremely hard, and it was very emotionally challenging, but I did it and it paid off and it was worth it. Now, would I recommend other people to run in and quit their job? It really just depends on how much risk that they want to take on. I love it when people do it because I come from the same boat, but at the same time, other people are conservative, and I understand that. So when it comes to a conservative metric of when you should quit your job, this is usually what I recommend to people. Actually, before we go into that, I kind of want to give you some perspective on what needs to happen in order for you to do it successfully. So let's just assume that you're working a 40-hour work week, right? You have a corporate job, 9 to 5, and let's also assume that you're making $4,000 a month, right? I feel like that's pretty conservative among America across the states, and it's pretty average. So $4,000 a month, and you're working 40 hours a week. And so you have to consider, what are your living expenses and what are your lifestyle expenses? Because your living expenses likely won't be the entire $4,000. There are going to be lifestyle expenses on top of that. So living expenses is going to be like your rent, it's going to be, your car payment, it's going to be food and gas. Lifestyle expenses is going out to eat. It is, the subscription services for Netflix and Hulu. It is, the clothes that you buy every month. Like those are things that add on top of your lifestyle. So you have to consider that, okay, not all $4,000 is, like necessary income. There's some disposable income in there. And what I see a lot of people doing is that they are making $4,000 a month, and they say, okay, well, once I make $4,000 a month, then I'll quit my job. But they're working 40 hours a week. And so they might get their business up to $1,500 a month or even $2,000 a month, but they get stuck because in order for them to continue going up higher, right, they have to put in more time and energy. And so they get stuck and they think, well, shit, I can't quit my job because I'm not matching my income. But they don't realize that they're going to have to make a sacrifice at one point or another, right? Either they get stuck here or they quit put more time and energy into their business, and then go up from there and scale up. So I always say that when you're making in your business enough to cover your living expenses, you might have to sacrifice your lifestyle expenses. You might have to cancel your subscription service. You might have to stop buying new clothes. You might have to stop going out and eating out all the time, right? You might have to make some sacrifices in your lifestyle in order for you to kind of cut back, to quit your job to cover your living expenses. So you don't actually have to make as much money as you're making in your 40-hour work week, because it will be close. It'll just be very hard, right? Is it impossible? No. But let's say you're making $8,000 a month, right? Are you going to be able to balance a 40-hour work week job and get your business up to $8,000 a month before you can quit your job? No, you might only get it to $4,000 a month, have to take a step back and a pay cut, make some sacrifices before, so you can put 100% into your business and then scale up from there. So that's the metric I like to use, is once you're making enough to cover your living expenses, then that's a good time to take a step back, make some sacrifices, go in survival mode for a minute, put all of your time and attention and energy into your business, and then scale up from there. It is a short-term sacrifice for a long-term reward, because what will happen is you will have more time to pour back into your business, which will lead to more money coming in for your business. Now, the other thing I like to recommend as well is having some savings saved up in your bank account. At least 2 to 3 months of living expenses. Doesn't have to be lifestyle expenses. Remember, there is a difference there. So calculate, what is your living expenses? What do you need to get by for the month? And then, from there, it really just depends and when you're ready. So just to kind of recap really quick, when should you quit your job? Really depends on how risky you are and also how conservative you are. If you're risky, you can quit tomorrow and, go all into your coaching business. That's what I did. Or if you're a little bit more conservative, calculate how much money do you need to cover your living expenses, not your lifestyle expenses, but just your living expenses. And then once you're making about your living expenses from your business, and you have 2 to 3 months worth of living expenses saved in your bank account, then that would be a nice conservative time for you to quit, because at least you have living expenses paid for the next 3 months, and that will give you enough time to build up your business to a point to where it was at either matching your income from before or blowing it out of the water. So that being said, hope this was valuable for you guys. If so, catch you in the next one. Peace.